particularly out here, if you've ever come out to Hawaii, the moon is blazing out here. Whenever there's like an event, like an eclipse going on, I'm like, whoa, 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 it's gonna get weird.
And I started working with crystals probably 20 years ago. I'm a bit of a crystal nerd.
Crystal nerd.
So with
hashtag crystal nerd, everybody.
Yeah, if anyone wants to nerd out about stones, come talk to me. And she was like, even if you're low, she was like, don't be afraid to get low. Get really, really low, because when it comes around, and she swiveled her hand up, you're going to go that much higher.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to get that low, because it's all a cycle. And I was like, she blew my mind.
Mind blown. Everyone has a special gift. Mine? The Circle of Light. They speak through me, and they're here to assist the planet's evolution to a more enlightened space. And for some reason, they chose me, a raunchy comedian, to be their vessel. I used to be secretive about my ability, but now it's time to come out of the cosmic closet, and you should too. My name is Georgia Jean, and these are my crazy stories. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Coming Out of the Cosmic Closet for those of you who are willing explorers of the rabbit hole, and for those of you who are just a little cosmic curious. Not sure whether you want to try it, maybe thinking about it, or maybe you just want to know more about it, because we welcome listeners of every varietal, right?
Yes.
I'm here with my beautiful, marvelous friend, Melissa Rutigliano of the Mars Lab. Yes, you. Of the MarsLab.com. And we've actually just been having a ball looking at her beautiful new Circles, Cycles, Crystals
Guidebook. Volume 1.
Tell me about it, Melissa. I want to know all about this.
Oh, man. Okay, I got to get my spiel down. Okay. Subtitled.
Yes.
A guidebook inspired by the moon, mystery, and the magic within.
It is a, what do you coin it today?
Oh, it's a womanual.
It's for the womanual, for the womans.
It's for the womans and the woomans.
And the woos.
Yeah.
And the woos.
Yeah, it is not gender specific.
No.
Well, there is a small chapter on menstruation.
Because that is part of the cycles aspect.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. We got to talk about that.
I do mention that if you don't bleed, perhaps you've picked up on some other cyclical thing that happens in your body.
Right.
And
Right. Like the rate of armpit hair growth, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah. I never really thought about what it would be, but sure, that counts.
Sure.
It counts.
Somebody's got, everybody's, and now I'm going into all kind of creepy biological wormholes that I'm not going to say. Anyway,
Earwax.
but
yes.
let's talk. Oh, I did just count on my ears a couple of weeks ago, but let's not sidetrack. Let's talk about circles, cycles, crystals, the book, the movement, what each of those words mean, the lifestyle.
Yeah.
We both love a bit of a circle.
We both love a bit of a circle.
Yeah. That's how we met. Hula hooping.
In a circle.
So that is actually how Melissa and I met. We met on the Big Island, magical place. I now live in Hawaii because I discovered the Big Island through this life-changing event. The I've forgotten the name.
Called. It wasn't In Depth. It was
Initiates.
Initiate,
and it was a hoop retreat.
Yep.
Where we were learning hoop moves. It was the first time I had hula hooped really with other people. I'd just been hooping by myself.
Yeah, kind of the same for me. And that retreat also instilled in me a daily yoga practice, which I did not have before that. And I have kept up with that. That was a life changer for me. 2014. That was January of 2014, and I've done yoga every day since then.
Every day?
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form. That's like right after that retreat, I was pretty like, I have to do an hour of yoga every day.
Right.
And then now it's like, if I get 5 minutes.
This sort of looks like downward facing dog, what I'm doing right now.
If I stretch when I wake up, like some days that's got to count.
Totally like, I'm picking up some trash off the floor. Definitely downward facing dog.
Make it yoga.
Breathe. So but just quickly to say, we're huge promoters of hooping as a great exercise, but also really as a bit of a spiritual practice because
totally.
People work with me for a long time and they've got these physical problems or they're just trying to be happier and they're just trying to, be emotionally free.
Mm.
And it's like the hoop does the same thing. Like, I mean, I could really kill my business right now with this cheat code. Get yourself a hula hoop because there is, and I've actually gone into the study now of this, why hula hooping has such a profound effect is much like another amazing modality called EFT. The hula hoop taps on the body and it actually helps to work emotional stress and trauma out of the body.
Like releasing blockages.
Blockages because you go out and hoop and you feel awesome.
Yeah.
And I've tried to get people into it and being like, come and hoop. And they're hooping and they're laughing. And they're like, I just feel so happy.
Yeah.
And then they never do it again. It's
yeah. They giggle and like they think of it as like a silly thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I used to do this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I think really it's just that idea of playing.
Yes.
Some people just can't let themselves
They can't let themselves play.
But something so much bigger is happening, I think. I mean, yes, sure, it's, you're getting your cardio and you're sweating and you're releasing toxins and all that good stuff that happens with any physical activity.
Yeah. But there's something more about hooping.
There's something energetic that's happening. And I think, and because I'm so in love with circles and spinning, like I believe that something is happening when you're spinning. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but.
No, yeah. I mean, it's all of the movements. You do a lot of spinal movement as well, lots of micro movements. So there's a lot of just really opening up the body. There's also learning tricks. So you're exercising that left and right sides of the body and brain and all that kind of balancing that happens there. And I think it's really profound. And I would actually love to see hooping used more like therapeutically.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would love to see like vets using it, female vets, anyone. There's also a lot kind of good goddess practice with the hooping too, because I think for me, there's something about the hoop touching the body. Like you're getting touched by this thing.
Yeah.
You're not getting much action out there. there's not that I'm saying it's like a get down thing. I mean, it can be if you want, but the physical touching of the hoop on the body, I think also has like a therapeutic effect as well.
Yeah.
And just connecting to your own body without having to have someone else touch you to feel in your body, which is, I think, another why I think it's a really wonderful, healthy self-love practice for young women and for guys. You know, but I realized somewhere along the way just the fact that it's a dance partner and you're never dancing alone when you're dancing with your hula hoop. And so it's this way to feel connected. So many good things about the hoop. There's so many good things. And I actually, when I had my retreat in Hawaii, I combined using hooping to open up the body and then bringing in the circle of light to bring in the cosmic frequencies because into this more open body. Because there's some yoga is fantastic, but there is something about like I said, I think the tapping of the hoop on the body does something to open up the nervous system even more. Yeah. And we've talked about it, the role of the nervous system contracting, how it can block off and stop the kind of cosmic flow from being able to embody as easily, that using that hoop to really open up the body and let the cosmic consciousness move in, you've relaxed your nervous system enough for that to happen so you don't get so much of the nervous system pushing back and being like, I don't know what this stuff is. So, but everyone talks about hooping it out. Like if you've got an issue with a girlfriend,
hoop it out.
Hoop it out, man. Go down to the park and hoop and talk because that, as the hooping is calming the nervous system. So if there's something, a little charge going on, and there's a lot of girls who really worked out trauma and triggers and, things like that from hooping and talking to friends. It's different than from just talking to a friend. Right. You're kind of actually having this therapeutic process. So
and the community is really loving, and so it's not a competitive community by any means.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've met, all of my friends I've met at a hoop retreat. Or
Yeah, and I think it was the first big group community. Well, that's not true because I was in theatre and stuff like. But after I left the Comedy Store, it was very healing. It was part of the healing process to kind of get into like the chick scene of the hooping.
Right.
And this super loving, super supportive, super sharing. It was all about sharing and giving. Like nobody hogs their tricks. Everyone's sharing their tricks.
Right.
And the whole art form just keeps growing and growing and growing because it just operates on a much different level, not like a competitive, like, oh, there's only enough for me sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Right.
But we just want to talk a bit about the hooping. That's how Melissa and I met.
Yes.
But let's get back to your circles.
So that's my circles. Circles, I mean, there's a lot with circles. But basically I'm kind of talking about hooping and dancing and completion, no beginning, no end.
Yeah.
Circle.
Yeah.
And then cycles, oh man. I mean, I've been in love with the moon since, I don't ever remember not loving the moon. But then I started working with her and communicating with her in a spiritual way. I don't know, I want to say 5 years ago, but I can't really put a timeline on it. So yeah, that's been a practice that's very close to my heart and very personal and dear to me. And
with that, you're tracking moon phases.
I'm tracking moon phases.
Share a little bit about what that means.
You know, if you work with new moon energy, and this is literally stuff I learned from the Farmer's Almanac like 20 years ago. You know, you plant seeds at the new moon and then hopefully by the full moon, something has started to grow. So we do that with our intentions and our aspirations and our wishes. Plant those seeds of intention at the new moon, and then you start taking your action steps over the next few weeks. And then hopefully by the time the full moon comes, you can celebrate seeing the benefits of all your spiritual work that you've been doing.
Right. And the full moon's sort of letting go too for the next cycle,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that happens at the full moon, or is it the bit in between the full moon and the new moon? That's the waning, the half.
Yeah, the
What's
dark
the
moon. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's like a different phase every week, really, if you want to break it down. But yeah, right before the new moon is the dark moon. You have usually 2 to 3 days where, you can really do some nice release work.
Right.
Break up with someone. Quit that job, you know, just remove these things that no longer serve you. And then when the new moon comes, you're ready to start fresh.
Ready to start fresh. I have to say, I always notice, particularly out here, if you've ever come out to Hawaii, the moon is blazing out here. There isn't that much other electrolight to compete. And so I find really the moon is very intense. And whenever there's like an event, like an eclipse going on, I'm like, whoa, it's gonna get weird.
Maybe that's what it was too. Maybe it was, I think that's when my practice really started 6 years ago when we moved out here.
Right.
I never really.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, because I would see the moon coming up over the mountains behind our house at the time. And I just got into it like I hadn't gotten into it before.
It's very strong.
And then I got into my, for health reasons and stuff. Before that, I started tapping into my own menstrual cycle and then, seeing the connection between those two and then just being obsessed with cycles of anything is a cycle.
And again, like in a place like Hawaii, you're really seeing cycles more vividly than if you're in a big city where the distractions can go. So it can be handy to kind of, for people to anchor with I think what I'm trying to say is that something like your book, you're helping people who maybe are in more distracted atmospheres into this cycle that's happening. So like when I was living in New York City, though, should it get pretty crazy on the full moons. And it's still affecting people. But you don't have quite a strong natural connection that you're feeling that cyclical nature.
Sure.
You're feeling the nature of humanity just go crazy.
Yeah.
But if you don't feel connected to those natural cycles in some way. Having a book like yours can help people
Absolutely.
anchor. Like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like a bit of a nut job because, and then it's like, oh, hey, because that's your book basically is breaking down from the summer solstice this year, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
June
21st
is the summer solstice.
Yep.
So the book is, you can start with that date, which is great, or you can, if you're listening to this later, you can get it and look maybe back at that time and see what might have actually been planting seeds or something. Tell me about the summer solstice as the starting point.
Well, the summer solstice, just appreciating the light, the light has returned to us. Well, I mean, actually the light is going away at that point, but.
Right. Oh, you're here. Oh, yeah.
I was just kidding. You're
leaving.
Like
a great date that's, never hear from you again. The sun's about to ghost us.
But just tapping into the idea of summer and what, not expectations, but what summer can offer you. What can you offer summer? How can this exchange, can you create an exchange between you and nature that you never really thought of before? What kind of dance you want to carry out as these summer months go by? And just being the creator of your life, just stopping to think about how you can, commingle your dance through life with the seasons and the cycles and the rhythms of nature. These things are happening all the time around us.
Yeah.
You may as well tap into what I just think a lot of us haven't really tapped into, our own innate magic.
Sure. And I think like when I lived in, what was a big shift for me when I went from like the West Coast to New York, where you do really have seasons. So now this sounds a little contradictory what I was saying about New York, but because you have that winter cycle. So now for me, winter is really, in New York was very obvious. Like this is when I'm going to get productive in a nesty, like work on a project inside. And then as the spring comes and you got the building excitement, and then the summer feels like that time to put out there what has been germinating in the dark of winter.
Yeah.
And then, kind of move into a new thing. So your book goes from the summer solstice
to the winter solstice.
To the winter solstice. Mm-hmm. So, and it does all the moon phases.
And then so within that, with the moon phases, we touch upon what astrological sign the moon is in. And then from that, we touch upon what element that astrological sign is in. Right. So we work with the elements. We work with astrology. We work with the moon. We work with the seasons. We work with our flows, our own cycles, whatever those may be.
Yes.
And I do mention crystals because I've been making jewelry since I was 10 years old. And I started working with crystals probably 20 years ago. I'm a bit of a crystal nerd. So with
hashtag crystal nerd, everybody.
Yeah, if anyone wants to nerd out about stones, come talk to me. So we talk about different stones to use depending on what element we're working with.
Right. So it gives people a bit of a structure, like how to handle what you can use, what to focus on, and which little crystal shiznatch to grab during that cycle.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong, I feel like I'm just putting ideas out there. I'm putting out practices, rituals, ideas that have worked for me. And you can take it or leave it.
Right.
I just hope to open the doors for you to these ideas and practices. And then, of course, you're going to make it your own dance. I'm just excited to share my dance because, it's been quite a dance. Full disclosure, in my 20s, I really struggled with anxiety and depression. And doctors right away are just like, well, let's take some medication.
Right.
But I was so anxious that I was afraid to take medication. Right. So I never wanted to do that. I was like, no, I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Awesome.
And back then, the internet was not what it is today. So I bought books and I sought out spiritual teachers and I worked really fucking hard on myself.
Yeah.
And this book is kind of the result of that. So there's all these tools and they all circle around the idea of self-care. Yeah. So anything that I'm sharing with you is to elevate you to live your best life.
Live your best life and get into those. I mean, I think we both kind of went through that. And I see that sort of anxiety, depression stuff very much as spiritual initiations now.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's not really well understood because we're so quick to rush with medication. For me, because my mum had a quote unquote mental illness, and full disclosure here, I fully support my mum's use of medication because it has definitely helped her. But at the same time, such big side effects and, a lot of, quote unquote negatives that when I experienced depression, I kind of went, well, I think I really was really depressed until about 18, but I kind of started having a breakdown then. I did not want to go there because I was so terrified of being mentally ill, like my mother. I was just terrified of it. But I, from an early age, from 13, I was like, I'm going to have to get some help here because.
Yep. And that's about when it was for me too, 1920.
And there's probably some cycle with that. I know for me, it was
totally.
my first big relationship started triggering a lot of stuff. And, but I went to therapy and then I also dropped out of university where I was, surprise, surprise, studying psychology, and I went to art school, started meditating and actually started partying more. And I think all of those things helped shift me from never experiencing joy. I did not know that you could feel happy every day.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
Didn't know.
Yep. Me too.
And these things pushed us pushed me, and I think what Melissa's saying here too, into a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And that's why I see it as an initiation, because we were trying to operate from one level of consciousness with what we had.
Yeah.
Things get really bad. And from my perspective, this is the soul force pushing in, it's sort of pushing against the mind. So you've got that anxiety and that stress and that tension saying, you got to crack. This isn't enough. What you're reaching for, what you're seeking for isn't enough. And that will usually drive somebody into, and I found my first crystals too around, someone gave me a rose quartz and I was like, man, this is making my meditation deeper and I feel better, afterwards. Actually, I think the first thing I got a clear quartz and I'd been doing transcendental meditation. Someone had got me into that and I wasn't transcending. I was still just sort of doing the mantra and thinking a lot. And then I did it once with a clear quartz quick quartz crystal and I went straight down the rabbit hole, everybody.
We've been trying to get her back ever since.
So crystals.
Yeah, working with crystals, I think they can just take your practice to they just tweak it a little bit.
They tweak it a little bit, yeah. They definitely, I did, again, it wasn't until I had my big event that I really became sensitive to the energies that are coming out of crystals and be like, and I could feel them reorganizing my chakras and stuff. So, it sounds a little woo. I wasn't really, I mean, at that time, that was quite a long time ago. So the whole there was one hippie chick at art school that I went to who sold crystals at the market.
Is that one hippie chick.
That one hippie chick. Emma, if you're out there, this is what ended up. You sold me the first clear quartz crystal, and rose quartz. And the rose quartz, I had met a guy. And I was
that's the love stone.
The love stone. And things were a little bit shaky at the beginning. And I was getting anxious because I got that kind of nervous system. And I got the rose quartz and I meditated with it and it calmed me down enough that I could relax and pull back and let the cycle of that initial part of the relationship play out because there is that cycle when you meet people, often there's a coming together and then there's a pulling away and a coming together, pulling away. And that's the sort of cycle of people working through their feelings about coming together, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if you get anxious, as I do, during that cycle, it can really blow up the relationship before it's even had a chance to blossom into something. So the rose quartz calmed me down, and I was like, there is really something to this shit, because I didn't, freak out and be like, or try and cut the person off. It calmed me down enough to handle that
just
thing.
to be, not try to like hit fast forward or get
past the discomfort. Like, I'm just going to break up with this person because I'm starting to feel uncomfortable.
Right. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's just pause.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pausing in the book.
A lot of pausing.
Pause. Yeah. That's something I really had to teach myself.
Right.
And and this is not to say like, I'm an expert on all these things. I am still figuring this shit out. But I do know some stuff that has worked.
Totally.
So I feel like it's the book that I needed 20 years ago, but it's the book I still need now.
Right.
And I'm really proud of it. It's beautiful. I've got a couple little doodle. When I was first trying to figure out how the hell do I describe this thing, but it still holds true. It's one part seasonal self-care guide. It's one part lunar wisdom book. And it's one part zine. Like
zine.
It's a zine, man. There's quotes, there's poetry, there's photos, there's doodles, you know. It's a really fun thing.
Melissa but you are really good with that sort of, if you haven't checked out Melissa's Instagram page yet, the Mars Lab.
Yeah, at the Mars Lab. Yeah.
At the Mars Lab. You are so good at finding quotes and beautiful images. Like, your Instagram game is strong compared to mine. Mine's like a random skydiving video.
Once every 2 weeks.
Once every 2 weeks. And like a selfie. I know I should be making more memes, but I'm just too busy jumping out of planes, people. What can I say? But you are... have such a wonderful sensibility for that. Yeah.
I love those things. Yeah. So there's that. It's like
it's very nurturing. All that
a bigger
beautiful
version of my Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I was like, damn, girl. Yeah. Looks good. So and what was you just figured out today that the actual cycle, how long it's taken you to produce this?
Oh my God, it's been 9 months.
9 months.
9 months. Pushed and I
But
and it's funny, well, it started in October when I was in a particularly low place, but I didn't really recognize it as being low. And then these past 9 months, I've moved like so many times.
Right.
And I've had incredible highs and lows.
Yeah.
Even more incredible lows. And this book has carried me through it all. It's been this thing that I've been lucky enough to return back to and been able to put energy into. And
and that really is that sort of, again, it's an initiation, because to create something, to have something come from your soul and to go and do something that's out of the comfort zone.
Yes. I've never written a book before.
You've never written a book. And it's absolutely beautiful, you guys. I was looking at today going, damn, girl, so good.
Thanks.
It's so good. I'm so proud. But also you've had, and it's a lot of what I see in the creative process, a lot of what I call threshold resistance as well. So is when people are, again, moving towards something that is unknown, that naughty nervous system starts to kick up. It wants to keep you in the same place that it understands. I don't even think we've got to do a whole episode on how naughty the nervous system is.
Yeah.
But it wants to keep you in the same. So that, again, the soul is pushing for expansion. The nervous system and the mind is pushing to keep everything the same. And a lot of that stress and tension and anxiety that people feel when they're going for something bigger starts to come up. That's the nervous system going, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Your life is going to change.
Yeah.
You want to keep everything the same, even if the same is being broke, addicted, injured, sick. Your nervous system still wants to keep things the same over that.
So bizarre.
But also at the same time, those feelings of anxiety, it's actually energy. And that's a lot what the circle teaches and how we work with people, that as the anxiety is coming, you either believe it and you succumb to it, or you go, oh, wow, all this buzzing in my body, or the fear feeling, or even anger, the heat in my face, all of these really charged feelings that come up as we're pushing our comfort zone is actually energy. And if you learn how to feel that instead of fighting it, then you get the energy and that pushes you forward. So I truly believe that anxiety and fear and some of the others, shame is another one. We'll have to do a whole show on Shazam, shame to Shazam. But it's both, it's the nervous system pushing back on you, but it's also the energy you need for the creation.
Yes.
And that's a great cycle to understand. Like if I'm going to push my comfort zone, I'm going to get uncomfortable. It's time to get comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
Because that's the energy I actually need to push this baby out like you've done.
Yeah. And I just remember, it's just popped into my head when I was in my 20s. I was working at this natural food store with some other nice crunchy ladies.
Mm-hmm.
There was this older woman, and how did we get on this subject? She said and she was a bit of an intuitive person, and she just walked past me, and she kind of was walking by, and then she just stopped and kind of backed up a little bit, came back to me, and she's like, I always get this feeling of hope when I walk past you.
Oh,
yeah.
That's your vibe, man.
And I was like, wow, I try to have that. I'm glad that you pick up on that. Like I definitely try to have that. But I was, not saying I'm Susie Sunshine, because that's not who I am, but, and she's like, no. And she kind of, paused for a minute, and she was, she started moving her hand at like what is this? Like kind of the beginning stages of motioning out a circle. And she's at the bottom.
An arc kind of
An
thing.
arc at the bottom. And she was like, even if you're low, she was like, don't be afraid to get low. Get really, really low, because when it comes around, and she swiveled her hand up, you're going to go that much higher.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to get that low, because it's all a cycle. And I was like, she blew my mind, because
blown.
Yeah, when in your 20s and you're dancing around depression, not wanting to call it depression or anxiety or whatever, just feeling like I just always felt like I know that I can feel better, but I never labeled it as anything. But in hindsight, depression and anxiety, they are real things. And it just changed the way I looked at my emotions.
Yeah. Energy and motion.
Yeah, energy and motion. And don't be afraid of it. Get into it. Get into it.
And this is one of my big...
Because that's the only way you can get out of it.
That's the only way you can get out. And
it's just going to keep knocking on your front door.
Because that's the energy you need for the next swing.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. And this is one of my big gripes with the people who just want to be positive all the time. They're often using a suppressive positivity system. And I, the Circle have given us a lot of information about this, and we've got like tools that work with this. So the suppressive positivity is just when you're not honoring those more intense emotions, when you're not letting yourself feel, you're just being happy all the time to not feel some shame or some anger or some fear, you're actually creating a suppressive system in your body. Whereas if you allow yourself to go into the low spot, the stuff at the bottom of the arc, then I think you gather that energy, and that's what gives you the swing up to the top. And that is an authentically positive feeling when you haven't, when you're not fighting it anymore. That's the natural state of expansion that happens when you're not fighting feelings, when you're not suppressing feelings.
Yeah.
And we don't, in the West or wherever, we don't tend to have a good relationship with that cycle of how energy is moving. And that's really one of the other sort of cycles in the circles, isn't it? To let yourself touch all points. And that's what the seasons do, like in the winter when you're a bit festery indoors, when you have a real seasonal kind of thing, you're kind of indoors and you are doing maybe a lot more introspection. I know here in Hawaii, when it's most of the things I love to do are skydiving and swimming. It's when the weather is bad, quote unquote, Hawaii bad weather is not really bad, legit. It's still pretty good. But those external activities aren't there anymore. So it's like navel gazing time. It's you got to get into the fields. You got to be like, oh, I'm so lonely. Let yourself feel that, because there's something in those states that once it's integrated, gives you powerful momentum once the spring and the summer come.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we're starting right at summer, it's like we kind of start planting those seeds of practices, rituals that will carry you through the dark months. If
right.
Yeah. And, some people maybe aren't comfortable or don't feel their best in those dark months, but get dark, y'all.
Get dark. And I just get, because, emotions, energy in motion, it's the mind that says it's good or bad.
Right.
So, of course, we say, well, anger's bad and shame is bad. And, yeah, those emotions are uncomfortable. But when we can stop labeling them as good or bad, then we can harness the energy of them. But when it's like, and I think we've probably talked about this, like a lot of women have a hard time, having a relationship with anger. And so they tend to suppress it more, and that's where you get the depression, and you get like a lot of body issues, a lot of inflammation and that sort of thing, because people want to be, they want to be nice and positive and lovable. So they start to suppress all that. And having your feelings doesn't mean that you're acting out on them. It doesn't mean that you're like running through the streets, like punching people in the face, because that is the other way we're avoiding connecting to the emotions. So say if it is anger, people are either suppressing it or they're expressing it, but they're not feeling it. And that is the different thing, is to actually feel it. And when you just sit and feel, okay, I'm angry. What does that feel like? Okay, I've got heat in my cheeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that heat is just energy. And when you just sit with it and accept it, then you don't need to go and punch someone in the face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or bury it down in your body. And that's really what sitting with these uncomfortable feelings is. It isn't dwelling. It isn't moping. It's allowing yourself to have an energetic relationship to the energy that's in those emotions, and maybe some of the things that are like triggering them or whatever. But it's important to have a healthy relationship to our uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah. And
working with cycles is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. And just acknowledging it. And then I got a chance to talk to the circle, and I asked, what is something that, us regular folks can do every day or whatever to just tap in and connect. And the circle said to kind of sit. Well, I took it as like, because I meditate, right? And I use mantras. So I'm in my head, I think, more than I realize. And since talking to the circle, I've tried to shift that to my heart space. And they mentioned the love and acceptance, which I learned from you, Georgia, back in 2014 when we were on the Big Island. I fully and completely love and accept the part of myself that feels like shit right now.
Exactly.
It's so simple. Freeing.
It works. It really works.
Yeah. And but you have to acknowledge the shit.
Exactly.
And then, to get to the point where you can have a little respect, dare I say, love for it. And then it goes away.
It goes away.
It goes away.
The minute you start, that's why they say, the source of all suffering is resistance.
Yes.
So if you're resisting your emotions, that's when you get anxiety, depression, physical problems.
Yep.
When you stop, feel, the energy can then dissipate. It's just pretty, it's like you've got, like, what are those those old things where they'd have like a can. It was like an old gag thing. Like, you've got this kind of weird snake with a spring in it. The can.
Yeah.
And we're all like squeezing our springy snakes into a can. And that pressure of the spring on the can is the discomfort we feel.
Yep.
The minute you just kind of open that can up and it goes, and everyone laughs and laughs and laughs, then you've got the expansion.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways that we use suppression. There's lots of different, sometimes really good-looking things like, being
alcohol.
But workaholism, all your isms, if not in balance, are like suppressive suppressive mechanisms.
Numbing, yeah.
So when you have something like your book where you go, okay, well, here is like a roadmap to the cycles where I can work with these feelings, and you create a space for it. I find, for example, with my clients, the minute people actually start working with their feelings, a lot of the problems start going away straight away.
Yep.
Because the system already sees, she or he is creating a space to work with these feelings.
Yep.
I no longer have to act out with this physical pain, with this anxiety, with this depression. I think it's the first really big part of the healing process, is that you just go, I'm going to make a space for this. And immediately the system goes, okay, all that pressure was just to get you to start doing that. And now the fun growth part actually happens through that. And you might not have like the massive depression, but just having a book like Melissa's gives you this kind of roadmap to do the self-care and go, okay, this moon's coming up. Whether you even necessarily believe in the moon energies, which I do feel the frequencies that come off the moon.
Yeah.
But even that you've just created a roadmap where you go, okay, on this date, I'm going to consider my whatever is appropriate as working with the moon cycles.
Yeah.
Your system will be like, cool, that's when I'm going to deal with that issue.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep acting out and trying to draw attention to it by making her feel depressed and angry.
About it.
Can do something about it. Yeah.
And even just teaching people to sit in circle. What does that mean? Well, you got to get the book. But I mean, I didn't grow up in a place where, I don't know, my household was like pretty traditional 80s, 90s. You know, we went to church on Sundays, but church never spoke to me as a place where I could sit and find peace. And it was, it was the thing that we got dragged to on Sundays.
Yeah.
So when I learned to sit in meditation, sit in circle, create my own circle, what does that mean? I'm sure it looks different for everyone, whatever their ritual or prayer practice is. But yeah, mine has a boner for the elements. So I work with the elements. If I'm sitting in circle with myself or others, fire is usually there, or, there's incense. So that's air, water.
Right. They're all the pieces, elemental pieces you'll bring in to make a sacred space.
Right. Yep.
My sacred space looks like me, like sitting in my bed.
That's what it looked like for me before you got here this morning. I was like, oh, wait, I just gotta. And I just sat on my bed and stared at the wall for 5 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm good.
I'm not.
That was also my yoga.
Yeah, that was your yoga. Yeah. Sitting on the bed yoga. She's done yoga every single day since 2014.
Fucking test me on it. I have passed 100%. A plus. So, but I think what I'm trying to say is that I do that every morning. So that's where my ritual is. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily set up a more physical space. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't do that every day.
Every day, yeah. But I do that every morning. So the space is in the time. And then other times we'll do like a magical alchemy session or something like that. And I'll set it up a bit more, with bringing the crystals, bringing the cards and have fun with that. But anytime you create in space or time or artistically, or because I do think part of my big healing was starting to go to art school, and I started painting and just actually started experiencing being in the zone of just being in that painting zone and not really having the mind there anymore. And I was painting all these paintings of animals. It was all about the animals' struggle against man is like our struggle against our own minds. And so it was really nice paintings. But that was my first way, because to really process a lot of the big feels that I had and this struggle with my own mind, and why. And that's really been, now I help people struggle with their mind. So but a lot of the times you learn from what you experience, how you get through it, and that's kind of like the starting gateway point for you to then be able to shepherd other people through the experience.
Yes.
And with training and, obviously I've got the cosmic forces crushing into my brain, helping out with that as well. But I think sometimes people think, oh, someone who's a healer or a practitioner has to be perfect.
Sure.
And not have any feelings and be like a robot, or they, like some perfect role model who isn't. But that's the cycle of life. The more you are evolving, the more of your resistant energy will start coming up for you to see and for you to just keep working with, and then go through another thing of expansion. And I think that's a really big thing why you see like people have downfalls when they get to a certain level, because this idea that they're a big public speaker, they should know everything now, or they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be making mistakes. They should be perfect for us.
Start shitting on them.
Start shitting.
Don't shit on her.
Shit on it. Shit it all over me. I'm terrified to be shitted on.
And it's terrible when we shit on ourselves.
And we shit on ourselves too. Shitting on ourselves is the worst.
Yeah.
You should. That's the good ego being a bad boy.
Yeah.
You should have been gooder.
Yeah.
You should have been better. Should have never made a mistake. Could have done better. So this cycle that we are ever evolving, and that that it doesn't matter where you are in your process of growth, this cycle of energy coming up to be seen, to be integrated, to be worked with continues.
Yeah.
It continues.
Yeah.
Until we are basically, I think, but until you become one with the universe, totally, like probably pop off at that point anyhow. It's there because it's the way we're returning to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, I think your book is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
Where can the people get it?
themarslab.com.
themarslab.com. Melissa does beautiful jewelry. She's a wonderful person. She's a beautiful spirit.
Stop
I'm
it.
so
Keep it coming.
Stop it. Keep this cycle going. No.
No.
You are one of
don't
us.
stop.
No, I'm super, super excited. So whatever point you're listening to, Melissa has great stuff about this.
And if you're listening to this like in August, like, oh shit, whatever, just reach out to me, because I'm sure there's going to be some kind of virtual circle already in progress around this whole book. So I'm going to make it so that you can hop in at any time.
Kind of pick it up and pick it in. That's a nice thing about a lot of digital products too, is that they can just kind of keep adapting as well. Like you don't, we're all growing. Yeah. It's a cycle. Cycles. Yeah. Circles. Crystals. All right. Well, I think we might wrap it up on this one. Yeah. I'm super stoked for you.
Yeah.
People, thank you for joining us on Coming Out of the Cosmic Closet. And if you do have anything that you want Melissa or I to talk about, you can hit us up on our Instagrams.
Heck yeah, you
Hopefully
can.
we should have an Instagram game. See, I can't even say it. I'm so bad at it.
That just goes to show she don't got Instagram game
I
yet.
got no Instagram game. I do have cool skydiving videos, though. Then they're not even that cool, but I think they're cool. I like to put music with them. It makes it a lot better. But hit us up. I'm Circle Evolution.
Yeah, I'm at the Mars Lab.
Send us a little line.
RG love.
Yeah. And if there's something you want to know about these concepts that we can expand upon.
Oh, we would love to.
We will do that. There's a lot to talk about. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done so already, please
subscribe.
Rate.
Review.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's going to be good.
It's good.
It's good. Make it good.
Make it gooder. Don't shoulda gooda me.
Don't shit on us.
All right.
All right. Okay. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
On the next episode of Coming Out of the Cosmic Closet.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing with losing someone is like, well, if you believe that in angels or in, that life goes on just in a different form, like you can know that, but it's like, what do you do with that physical space that human used to occupy?
Totally.
That's the hard part.
I think even having the connection to the other side, you still have to psychologically process the physical loss, the loss of this person in this lifetime as you knew them. And there was a lot of, with losing my dad, a lot of what I would call existential angst. Just this, there is this figure that is one of your primary energies that basically bring you into this world is now gone in that form. So